Hey everyone, welcome back to Tea with Mesha. Today I'm drinking a dirty chai. If you've never had a dirty chai before, highly recommend. It's like a blessing in a cup. You will not regret it. You really will not. But last night I was up pretty late watching Getting Married at First Sight. And there was a scene where the wife was trying to get her husband to do something and he tried to get out of it by saying, well, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And the therapist was like, but in either case, you're running. I was like, whew, I know God didn't give me a word at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I was obedient and I responded. And I was researching the different training styles between when you're training for a sprint and when you're training for a marathon. One thing I learned about when you're training for sprinting, your top priority is speed. So you would do more so like weight training. Your training is a lot more intense. You would do you would focus on your strides and you would focus on your arm action. Like it's all kind of different things that you would focus on when you're training for a sprint kind of race, right? When you're training for a marathon, it's a lot less intense. It's a little bit more relaxed. Over time, you'll probably add on half a mile or a whole mile while you're training. You may even add on like a few minutes of running every so often. Like it's really different, right? But there was two words I kept coming across when you're training for a marathon, and it's the building of stamina and endurance. So stamina is defined by being able to get through mental or physical effort for a prolonged period of time. So for like over time, you're just putting in a lot of work, a lot of effort for a long period of time. Whereas endurance is the power to endure unpleasant or difficult moments without giving up. I'm like, dang, so the only way to build endurance must mean I have to go through hard times or I have to be in unpleasant situations and not give up in the process. And once I keep doing that time and time again, by the time I actually go to the marathon and run it, once I'm there, it's like I've gone through enough difficulties where these small things wouldn't prevent me or stop me from running. I was like, this reminds me of a scripture. So I gotta bring the word in. I always gotta bring the word in. So John 16:33 says, these things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. So with that, it sounds like because we're all in this world, every day we're walking this earth, tribulations are promised to us. Like they're going to come. But we should have good cheer because God is with us and He has already overcome the world. But although we will face tribulation, it shouldn't be something that holds us back, right? But then I thought about this quote that I heard from Tyler Perry. He says, with every 1,000 no's, there's always a one yes from God. But after reading that, it's like, well, if tribulations are a promise to us, then what if those 1,000 no's are actually from God too? I don't know. Just hear me out. Because if you think about it, if it says that God wants us to build endurance and build this perseverance in us, and tribulations are promised, the only way that we want to get stronger or better is through our difficulties, right? So that led me back to a Bible study session I've had with my friend Preston in the book of Exodus. It's the book where God calls Moses to set the Israelites free from Pharaoh. And he goes to Moses and he's like, this is exactly what you need to say to Pharaoh. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. These are the signs and the wonders, like the whole 9 yards. Now, Moses wasn't too quick to pick up on this assignment. He had a stuttering problem or some kind of speech impediment where he was like, he didn't want to do it. But nevertheless, he took up his assignment with his brother Aaron and they went to Pharaoh and they telling him all this stuff and they giving him all these signs. And Pharaoh's like, nah, my magicians can do that. Like, he just not bothered. And it's like time and time again, Moses goes back to God, and God's like, well, tell him this or tell him that, or I'm gonna send a plague. Like, giving him all these different things to do. So Moses goes back to Pharaoh, tell them all this stuff, and Moses is unbothered. And even the times when he do give in, the next day he goes back and he's like, I'm just playing, like I'm not letting these people go. But then I realized in almost every chapter, God is the one that's making Pharaoh's heart hard. And I'm like, hold on now, God. You came to Moses. You called Moses. That was your doing. And then you sent Moses all the way to Pharaoh, knowing that you're going to make Pharaoh's heart hard. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. But then it hit me. This story isn't about Pharaoh. It's about God building something in Moses. Think about it. Romans 5 3 through 4 says, and not only that, but we also glory in tribulation, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope. So, what God is doing to Moses is basically putting him through situations that's building his character, building his hope, building his perseverance. So, when he does get that yes at the end of the day, he can take it in triumph. Because let's be real, God is God. God can do whatever he want to do alone, all by himself. So the fact that he's calling Moses into the picture, it's like there must be some kind of lesson in there. Because if it was only about the Israelites being set free, God could have easily just killed Pharaoh. Let's be real. He could have easily not got involved with making Pharaoh's heart harden. He could have let Pharaoh make the decision from his by himself. Like there's so many things God could have done to just let the Israelites free. But one thing about God, he gonna show up and say he's big God. Like he can do all things, right? So he's allowing this to go forward so Moses can actually lead and they can have someone to put their faith in. Because if Moses came in here and was like, let my people go, and they was let go, imagine the arrogance that Moses would have. Imagine the Israelites, they would probably have more faith in Moses than they would God. Or they would probably have more faith in Pharaoh than they would God. They wouldn't be praising God in this situation. They will only be praising the people that they can actually see with their eyes, right? So that's one story where you can see that God is actually in control of the tribulations that's been given to Moses. But think about the story of Job. Job was this righteous man living his life. He loved God. He did his offering daily. Like he was just a God fearing man, right? But one day, Satan is just roaming the earth looking for stuff to Satan, I guess. And he's just bored. So he goes with the angels to talk to God. And God is like, have you tried my servant Job? Okay, we just said that Job was this amazing man, but God suggested Job. And Satan is like, I already tried him. Like, this man is covered, his house is covered, his cattle, his sheep, his children. There's nothing I can do. However, if you allow me to, I bet I can go and change his mind about you. And God allowed it. Think about that. God allowed Satan to try Job because at the end of the day, tribulations are going to come, right? But if God trusted Job to be tested by Satan, that means that Job was really like about his business. It's like God knew that Job wasn't going to budge. Try him. See if you can break him since you almighty, right? I know a lot of people say that God give his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. That's not in the Bible. I mean, you can interpret that from Job if you want to. But in reality, God allowing Satan to mess with Job was just strengthening Job even more, making his blessings even greater because Job got blessed abundantly afterwards. He understood his loss, but Job got blessed abundantly after being obedient to what God called him to do. So a lot of times we end up in this space of thinking that there are a ton of bad things that's happening to us. When in reality, these aren't bad things. These are things that are causing growing pains. You can't grow without some kind of physical pain, without some kind of mental pain, without something stretching you. It's not going to feel good to be stretched. It's going to take time for you to get through some of these things and endure some of these things so that over time your endurance can be built. So when you're running this marathon, a lot of us don't have any training before we decide to run. We didn't grow up in a church. We don't have all the backstory. A lot of us don't have that. So we don't start to experience that endurance until we start the marathon. We may start off running and our calves may start itching because we haven't done this before, or we may hurt our leg or sprain it. But the thing is, those hard times, once you get back up from those things, you want to continue to persist throughout this race. Now you're building stamina. Now you're able to keep putting effort in for a long period of time. It's not going to be easy, but the things that you're learning along the way has been things that God has allowed in your life. So stop seeing it as God hates me. No, he cares about you. So he's trying to strengthen you by giving you certain tests. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and he said he saw a guy with a sweatshirt that says a bad day is only 24 hours. And he was stating how he understands the concept that they're trying to convey, but In reality, a bad day is only 45 seconds. And I was like, dang, that's true. And he was saying, like, a lot of times it's only something that happens and it takes 45 seconds for it to upset you, and you just don't forgive it or get over it. And all day, you're still thinking about those 45 seconds because you've given that one issue the power to control your entire day. How you know waking up late and potentially being late for work wasn't a test of God of your patience? Even Morgan Freeman said it in one movie where we ask God for patience and think it's going to show up at our doorsteps. But in reality, He gives you opportunities and puts you in situations where you have to exercise being patient. What if waking up this morning and somebody cut you off was an opportunity for you to exercise patience? But instead, you're yelling at them and now you're mad because somebody who almost hit your car. Where's the gratitude of the fact that they didn't hit your car? If I wouldn't have learned patience a long time ago, I wouldn't be praying for people now when they be driving. I swear, I'd be in the car like, Lord, please let this Fin and this Altima get home safely. Let this NASCAR race driver make it home. And please don't let them harm anybody in the midst of it. Now I understand the importance of not allowing small things to upset me. I know it's frustrating. We all have emotions. I mean, there were moments where in the Bible where Jesus was flipping tables over. But in that same temple that he was flipping over tables, right afterwards, he started to heal and bless people. Imagine him being upset and decided, like, I'm just having a bad day. I'm not going to heal and bless nobody. That's the same situations we are being put in. Those small things that can potentially have control of your entire day shouldn't even be a thing. We shouldn't even give it that much power to prevent us from moving forward. Yes, life is hard. Trials and tribulations are promised to us daily. We're going to face them. But the thing is, we don't face them alone. Romans 8:28 says, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good. These bad things that we keep seeing happening over and over again are only happening over and over again if we're not learning from it. There gets to a point where we get in a car every day. And I'm using this example because it's the most realistic one. We drive every day. We know that someone is going to do something stupid. We cannot do anything to control the next vehicle, but what we can do is control our own vehicle and we can control our own mind. If God is allowing it to happen, then it's meant for your good. And if you think about it, if we say that God is all knowing, He has the best plan for our life, He knows everything. If He's allowing even things that I guess originally wasn't a part of His plan, don't you think that that means that He knows that you can overcome it with His help? We're not meant to walk it by ourselves, but at the end of the day, if we're in it, it must be something we're supposed to learn from it and gain from it. So take a moment to reevaluate yourself, reevaluate the situation you're in or your circumstances, and figure out how can I truly advance out of this situation? How do I pray more about it? Like, do you actually pray about it? Actually, do you actually write it down? Do you actually take note of the things that's going on around you? Or do you sit in your slumber? Do you just sit in it and just allow it to play out? When you're allowing things to play out, one thing I realized when I came back to Christ is that I stopped wasting time. Let's be real about it. When I started inviting God into the decisions that I was making every day, I stopped wasting my time. I stopped getting involved in opportunities that weren't for me. I stopped getting involved in relationships that didn't have my name on it. I stopped doing a lot of things that would require me to waste more time. So, overall, when the devil is busy in your life, understand that God allowed it. Sometimes we allow it. Sometimes we put ourselves in those situations. But either way, God is allowing you to go through it for a reason. So learn from it, gain from it. Stop seeing these bad things or negative things in your life as ways where God is just trying to break you down. He's just trying to build you up and strengthen you. But if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, drop in the comments something you're trying to overcome or some areas you need to grow your patience in. I mean, we all in this together. We all trying to get to the same place. So I wish you all the best week. Happy Monday, and I love you all.